Good evening, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present this glorious, legendary crossover of Kamen Rider Gacha episode 33. So, this glorious episode begins with Spanner and Miroro Sensei in the school, and Miroro Sensei and Spanner were in shock, especially Spanner, because he's like, okay, so this creature I saw last week is the Abyss Alice King? And according to Miroro Sensei, there's been, energy spikes going around in the Ouroboros realm, and it's connected to this king. And Spanner's like, oh my god, but how is that even possible? We sealed the door to Kingdom Hearts, air quotes, but apparently not. So the Abyss Alice King is in this world now, and we move on to the king himself. And to sum it all up, he tells the sisters that, hey, go out there and investigate this new enemy. And speaking of this new enemy, we move on from the sisters to the three generals of 100. And their mission is clear. Their plan is to kill Hotaro, capture this super weapon, and capture this world. And they have a limited amount of time to do so. So they're moving ahead with their plans quickly. And then we move from the lieutenants all the way to Hotaro. Hotaro is still in confused mode because he's like, I met these people before, but I can't put my finger on where did I saw him at, when. Like, he doesn't have any memories of what happened during his time in the legend world. And speaking of legend, here comes Butler Kajiki, and Hotaro assumed that that's his best friend, his Kajiki, and he's like, why are you wearing a suit? What's going on? But of course, Butler Kajiki was like, it makes sense that you don't remember me because of the memory wipe. So I assume, since I haven't seen the special, that Kaiguya and Butler Kajiki had something to do with Hotaro's memories of that time. So I'm guessing that next episode, Kaiguya will explain, fill in the holes of Hotaro's memories. So we move on from the opening credits to this scene where Butler Kajiki talks with everybody in the alchemy school. The reason why he wanted to talk to everybody is to give them a warning. Not only that, but also tell them that, hey, I'm from a different world. The enemy my master is facing is the 100, and they're out there destroying and conquering worlds, and they're after this super weapon that I made. And then it gets all interrupted when they see this weird looking gate in the sky. So the heroes went out there to check it out. And then as they went into the city, here comes the lieutenants. And they introduced themselves. So they introduced themselves. They call themselves Tasogare, Mime, and it's Saigetsu. Yeah, Saigetsu, sorry. And Saigetsu says, oh, gotcha, you came to us. So you saved us a lot of time, and we're out there to kill you, and we're going to conquer your world. And look up there. That gate, the Aurora Gate, it's not open yet, but when it's officially open, I'm going to send our armies into your world and we're going to conquer it, and the end. And so he summoned a few foot soldiers, and the foot soldiers attacked the civilians. So the heroes split off. So you have Midoro Sensei, Sabi, and Renge, and Butler Kajiki, helping the civilians get to safety, while the Kamen Riders face off against the 3 lieutenants. And so even they get split off, because it's not 3 versus how many riders? No. So Mae decides to go after Kudo and Spanner, while Saigets and Tasugare face off against Hotaro. Now, again, this exposes Hotaro that he sucks as a fighter. He is no fighter at all. And mind you, this is just something that I want to mention. There is a picture online, especially on Facebook, that someone captured a picture of Hotaro's stunt double, and you see the stunt double's face. And at first I thought it was, Photoshop. But when I saw the episode, I paused it at the right time where I saw, the stunt double's face. And like, oh, it's not Photoshopped after all. So if I can find it, I will put it in the video. But if not, I highly recommend you rewatch the episode and pause it during the Hotaro versus Saigets and Tasugare. I'm gonna butcher his name, guys, so I do apologize, but I highly recommend you pause that scene, because you're gonna see Hotaro's stunt double. So even Hotaro's stunt double, like, he used alchemy to summon a stunt double, and to fill in and hopefully hold off against the 2 generals or lieutenants, whatever. And and he is doing a horrible job. So he sucks, both him and the stunt double. So as Hotaro is getting his ass kicked by 2 lieutenants, you have Spanner and Kudo facing off against 1 lieutenant with a katana, mind you, and they're doing so much better than Hotaro, because you see Spanner at least trying to fight a crazy woman with a katana, while Kudo, she's not a fighter herself, but you could see her successfully dodging those katana swings. And then we have this mini fight, and then all of them decides it's time to get serious. It's time to transform into Kamen Riders now. And we get a hit of nostalgia, because you have Mae transform into Kamen Rider Glare from Geats. You have Saigets transform into Dark Kiva from Kiva. And then you have Tasugare transformed into Kamen Rider Internal from Kamen Rider Double. So yeah, nostalgia all around. And once again, they split off. So this time, before I carry on, I'm gonna go from battle to battle. From Mae versus Kudo and Spanner, and Hotaro versus Saigets and Tasugare. So I'm gonna do all their scenes into one fight, so that way I don't go back and forth like they did in the episode. Now, before that happens, we move to Midoro Sensei, Renge, and Sabi, and Butler Kajiki. They're fighting against the foot soldiers while saving the civilians. And then we see Weird Sister number 2, and she says, "Hey, Professor, the professor sent me to help you guys." And then we get to see her debut as Valvarad 2.0. Now, here's I will give you my opinion through this example. So let's pretend our beloved father is Papa Toei, and Papa Toei decides to take you and your brother Spanner to a phone store because Papa Toei wants to get a new phone. So you guys go to this, let's say AT&T or Verizon, whatever phone carrier, to get a new phone, right? And you see Papa Toei, getting Spanner his new phone, and you're like getting excited that you will get, your own personal new phone. But instead of getting your own new phone, you end up getting your brother Spanner's old phone instead. And to top it all off, Papa Toei decides that, hey, I'm going to add a favorite color to your brother's older phone that I'm going to give you to make it your own. It's official because your brother is going to get a new phone while you get an old phone. And you can have green on it. Yeah, there's your new phone. So that's that's my thoughts of the debut. I feel indifferent. I'm not angry. I'm not sad. It's just I personally want her to have her own personal design, not a hand-me-down suit. But it is what it is. Which leads me to this interesting question: is she gonna get her rider form in the near future? My opinion, my theory is yes, but not during the show. I get this feeling that it's going to be exclusively for a movie or a special. So we move on from Weird Sister number 2's debut as Valvarad 2.0 to the fights. So I'm going to start with Mae versus Kudo and Spanner. So those three are magically in some random warehouse, and they do their fighting, and we get this iconic move from Glare, because remember, in Geats, Glare used, his shoulder pads, his chest pad to just unleash upon Ace and Kawa, and it shoots lasers and all that stuff. And unfortunately for Kudo and Spanner, they're getting their asses kicked. And what makes matters even worse is that Mae decides to use Glare's other ability to mind control Kudo, the same way that happened with Win. But Spanner, instead of holding back, he just continues fighting Kudo as normal, because Spanner said to Mae that, do you seriously think that I'm gonna hold back? Kudo doesn't want me to hold back. She wants me to go full steam ahead. And Mae assumes, oh, okay, that's fine, but why are you holding back then? But then, all of a sudden, Weird Sister number 2 shows up and says, like, you get to fight me now. You get to play with me. So they have their fight. And then, to make matters even more interesting and chaotic, Weird Sister number 3 shows up because, she was observing everything. And she decided, hey, this fight is more interesting than the Hotaro ass whooping. So number 3 shows up, but only this time she's like, I need to get into this match. Like, I hunger for this fight. And you see her like with deep breaths and like she's hungry. And then she transforms into her new form, the Abyss form, and she just runs towards the fight and tells everybody, hey, fight me. And she just attacks everybody. She just attacks friend, enemy, anything that moves. She is attacking everybody. but it gave the heroes an edge, and I'll tell you why. Because number 3 went after Kudo and easily defeats her, but also she easily defeats number 2 and Spanner 2. But this is important because once number 3 defeats Kudo, she demorphs, which destroys the mind control, which leads Spanner and number 2 to attack Mae while she's down, and she gets defeated by those two. And Mae demorphs, cuts and bruises and all, and she has an injured arm, and she gingerly escapes the warehouse with disbelief that, oh, I can't believe that these children defeated her. And which leads to Weird Sister number 3. She attacks Spanner for a bit, and then as she turns to attack number 2, she stopped herself and just walks away while poor number 2, she was almost in tears. Like, she wants, like number 2 wants the sisterhood back together, but at least number 3 did not attack her. She is still in control of herself, and she just walks away because at the end of the day, aside from wanting power, she wants the sisters to be back together, and there's no way that hurting number 2 will lead into, the repairment of the sisterhood. We move on from that towards the slaughter that is Hotaro versus Tasogare and Saigets, because they were fighting, and then Tasogare tells Hotaro that these powers that we have, they're borrowed, according to him, from the conquering worlds that they conquered and destroyed. And I automatically assumed that these 3 people stole, those powers. But anyways, Tasugare uses the power of Eternal to easily kick the ass of Hotaro, and of course, Saigets using Dark Kiva, and again, the ass whooping. However, Hotaro had a chance. He used a bombardment of multiple forms to slowly turn the tide towards his favor, and you can see Hotaro had an audience with, the civilians, and also wrong place at the wrong time, Kajiki. And then we see this moment in history where the Kajikis meet together. They meet for the first time. This is the whole King of the Eternal Monarch moment. And Kajiki was like, what the hell? You're me, and I'm you. Like, why are you wearing a suit? Like, he had a ton of questions, but of course, Butler Kajiki was like, yeah, I'm you from another world. And he's all calm and collective. And Kajiki from our world, our universe, is like, he's all panicky, like he doesn't know what to do. Anyways, we had that moment in history, and then Hotaro gets defeated by Tasugare, and cuts and bruises and all. Before I get any further, I need to say this before I go any further. Mae gingerly escapes from the warehouse, injured and all, and she's in disbelief. And then she meets her doom in Kamen Rider Zen, and Zen quickly kills her off, and Zen went on his merry way. That's something I forgot to mention. Okay, so Hotaro is defeated and cuts and bruises and all, and all of a sudden, this child appears out of nowhere looking for her mom, and Saigets decides, hey, I'm gonna kill her using my rider kick. But then Hotaro, with his last breath, saves the child, and Tatsugare was like, this is why you're weak. This is why you're condemned to hell, because, your hero beliefs and everyone here in the entire world, these people are weak. Humans are weak. And the weak should be, eliminated by the strong, that sort of thing, But then you have Hotaro with his own speech of, all lives matter to every life is precious, and I'm here to defend those beliefs, which causes the audience to be all like cheering for him, that, kabate, gachato, go for it, Hotaro, which, due to the power of the cheers, Hotaro had a bit of strength to get up and transform into Kamen Rider Platinum Gacha, and then through those cheers, he rider kick Tatsugare and kills him. Now it's Saiget's turn. However, he said that, well, it's too late now. The Aurora Gate is officially open. That means the army can freely enter your world and conquer it. Which leaves Hotaro screaming, no! But then you see this light coming from the Aurora Gate, and lo and behold, Kaguya makes a Jesus entrance, and he comes down from the heavens, and he unleashed his gems and diamonds and all that. He made a glorious entrance, mind you, a legendary entrance, and he starts speaking in third person. Kaguya has arrived, and blah blah blah. And then our own Saigets is in shock to see him here, and he is wondering, what the hell happened to my army then? Oh, your army. Well, I destroyed them. Yeah, they were no match for me, Kaguya. And so, left with no army, Saigets only has only a few soldiers left in this realm, so he just sicks them to Kaguya, and of course he transforms into Legend, and he knows that he has an audience, right? So he impresses his audience with a barrage of nostalgia, this wave of nostalgia, and he quickly destroys all that's left of the 100 army, which leads to Saigets himself. And Saigets decides to, hey, maybe I should unleash this final attack to destroy the world. That's according to Butler Kajiki. But of course, confidently, Kaguya is like, there's nothing to worry about. I'm here. So he summons his super weapon, the Kamen Razor. And it's funny because the Razor gets summoned, and you see at the sky this tiny device that easily knocks Saigets away, canceling the attack, and just goes down to Kaguya, and Kaguya gets it and use it to transform into Legendary Legend, and that's it. That's the end of the episode, because there's nothing left but to show up this new form. And speaking of this new form, I have to say, it's pretty glorious. It's shiny and golden, and it's way better than Decade's, final 2 form, because, my God, that form was horrible. Horrible. The only thing that I have concerns of the suit is when, like, if you were the suit actor, how can you move? Because you have this weird tire around your neck, and how can you turn your head around, and how can you fight? And I'm like, can you fight with it? It looks pretty heavy, but maybe it's light. I don't know, but it looks pretty heavy. So I'll have to give kudos to the suit actor in wearing this huge tire around his neck. But I mean, other than that, appearance-wise, it looks pretty good. It's better than Decade's second final form, I could tell you that much. And mind you, I didn't mention about Legends grapefruits. So I'm happy that they added another layer, because Jesus, if I were to see any grapefruits, I'll be like, okay, here comes Kamen Rider Legend and his legendary grapefruits. Oh, at least they fixed it. Thank God. Anyways, this episode, it was an okay episode. We get to see the debut of number 2 in her Valvarad suit form with green on it, which I already said my piece on, just my overall thoughts with my example. We had the legendary suit, which I just said, I like it. It's just my concern is, how can you fight with it? How can you move with it? The nostalgia, it brought back memories. And also it goes to show you that Geats to this day is still popular, because why would they use glare? Seriously, they could have used any other form from the past, but they decided that, hey, let's use glare since it's more recent. And Geats, it's popular still. And then to see Eternal and Dark Kiva, especially because I enjoyed Kamen Rider Kiva, and to see instead of transforming using the hand, because originally when you transform into Kiva, the bat has to bite your hand in order to transform, but instead of the hand, you have the neck instead, which is like, oh, how creative. And it makes sense too, because the theme is vampires. And I was surprised that, they used the neck instead of the traditional hand. So, I mean, whoever's idea was that was pretty good. That was pretty clever. Other than that, like I mentioned last week, is Legend staying for the remainder of the season? I just don't see it. I really don't, because 100 is still out there in his realm, and he could only stay in Hotaro's realm for so long. So I just imagine Legend staying for one more episode and then going back to his world. But if he does, I think Butler Kajiki needs to be the one to be sent back. At least that way, he will look after the world, and if 100 starts attacking, that's when he calls, and then he goes back to his world. So if Kaiguga wants to stay or needs to stay, Butler needs to go back. But I just personally don't see him staying. After this next episode coming up, I think he's going back home. I just don't see him staying. And other than that, I think that's it. An episode of crossover and nostalgia. I mean, I'm curious though, guys, and this is something I want to leave and go by. Why did creative decide to make this crossover nostalgia episodes? Why? My theory, this is just a theory, do you think that it had something to do with the ratings being in the tank for this show? Mind you, I do not know or read ratings. So if someone out there who knows the ratings for this show, please write in the comments below, because I'm curious. Because if indeed the ratings are in the tank, then I can understand why Legend had to be there, and also the nostalgia coming in is just, okay, now I get it, because the ratings are in the tanker. And hopefully with this special, the ratings may spike up a bit up. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. This is just a wild conspiracy theory, but just food for thought. Other than that, I think that is it. Please give a like if you like it and subscribe. And also, have you watched the episode? If so, did you like it? Did you dislike it? And also, if I missed anything, write in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts and feelings about this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, again, subscribe and like. And I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!